So we are going to be starting in just a moment, and I might as well tell you some words to the first song so you can sing along. We are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love. Then there's a second verse. Who we are is ever free, one with all creation. It follows the same scheme.
We are one. are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love.
We do love you.
Good morning, everyone. Anton, Mr. Ack, Lori Berryhill, they're gifts to us here at our center. Thank you. A beautiful way to start our service. So good to be with you this morning. This is our 5th Sunday interfaith service with Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living. So, yay! Jean, Hannah, and myself will be giving the talk today. So Jean's going to start, and then I'll bring us home. And we have Teresa Jenkins as our pulpit practitioner and our beautiful support. And we have Laura Stewart, who facilitated a beautiful meditation this morning and is holding the high watch for the service today. We are both inclusive, diverse communities, and we believe in all paths to God. So no matter where you are on your path, you are welcome here. And we are grateful that you are here. Today, we are celebrating Oneness. And as you can hear from the beautiful music, we've already gotten off to an amazing start. So just relax, enjoy, and let's try to stay as cool as we possibly can right now. And I will turn it back over to our musicians.
You're also welcome to sing along with this song, and it's a quieter mood. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit, who has many names, yet is beyond all names and forms, who has many names, yet is beyond all names and forms. We come together for healing, revealing who we are. We come together for healing, revealing who we are. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit, who has many names, yet is beyond all names and forms, who has many names, yet is beyond all names and forms. We come together for healing, revealing who we are. We come together for healing, revealing who we are. We sing in the name of the one, eternal, infinite Spirit.
Eternal, infinite Spirit, we sing in the name of the one. Eternal, infinite Spirit, we sing in the name of the one. Eternal, infinite Spirit.
We gather today in the name of the One. This is what I know. There is an intelligent, abundant, infinite, beautiful, and loving energy that exists. I call this energy spirit. I know spirit is present in all places, at all times, and is at this very moment choosing to express as each one of us here. We are unique expressions of spirit. And so I bless this service knowing that all words spoken and sung and actions taken are intended for the highest and best of each one of us. And together we say, and so it is. In the spirit of oneness, Reverend Michelle and Jean have asked me to share a little bit about my spiritual practices, my experience of oneness. I was raised Catholic, dyed in the wool, and through my journeys of seminary, theological studies, and whatever, I became a charismatic Christian, and that still was not enough. Still was too limiting for me. I wanted to be able to embrace bigger and more. And so, long story short, where I am now is I'm a priest initiated in the African indigenous spirituality of Ifa, IFA, and it's been around for like 10,000 years. There is a oral body of scripture that was carried across with the folks who were enslaved, my ancestors, and it was remembered and passed down and passed down. So I've been blessed to have been called back to this spirituality, and the nature of it is, the basic premise is to develop Iwa Puele. Iwa Puele means good character. I think that's what we're all doing. We're all trying to develop good character. And so there is no conflict between my being a practitioner of science of mind, or being a priest in Ifa, or being an ex-Catholic, or anything else. We're all trying to do the right thing and be good folks on the planet. And so with that, my reading today is from one of my favorite poems, Hafiz. And the reading is, we are all the same, longing to find our way back to the one, back to the only one. For we have not come here to take prisoners or confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. With that, I'm going to light the peace candle. I'm lighting this peace candle that represents a light within each of us, the light of divine oneness. The Christ consciousness that resides in each of us, knowing as I light this flame of peace and love, she says. We feel it in our hearts deeply, and we send it into the world. I'm sending it into the world, okay. To finish, we have all come to the right place. We all sit in God's classroom. We have all come to the right place. We all sit in God's classroom. Now, the only thing left for us to do, my dear, is to stop throwing spitballs for a while. There's only one of us here. And so it is.
We're going to do a chant from the Tibetan tradition, a chant to invoke universal compassion in your life. This is part of a sadhana, our spiritual practice, where the complete practice involves dissolving the universe to a point of light and recreating it as a three-dimensional mandala of universal compassion, partly through the sound of the mantra, which we'll chant. Om, Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Ture Soha. Since we're not doing the whole practice, we'll just visualize and feel this chant awakening those compassion centers within us so that compassion becomes a more natural first response.
Tare Ture Soha. tare tu de soha, tare tare. Tu tare tu de soha, tare tare. Tu tare tu de soha.
Good morning. Was that not just very, very pretty? Yes? And did it not put you feeling of oneness? Yes. Yes, it did for me. Thank you so much. So my name's Jean Hanna. I'm president of Unity, and we are here on a CSL and Unity adventure about oneness. And I love this topic because we talk about it all the time, but I'm not sure we know how we get there or how to get here present with the one and all of who we are. So I love the title, Remembering Our Oneness. So my little part here is about the ego integration as a guidepost to remembering our oneness. And for me, I have two teachers that I wanted to share because this is the two teachers I've been working with the last year. And most recently, I've been working with a teacher who's on the other side of the veil, and his name is Ramana Maharshi. And so how many have heard of Ramana Maharshi? Several of you. Anyway, I was tempted when I saw these pictures of him where he wore just a loincloth his whole life to wear a loincloth today, because I've got way too many clothes on right now. But Ramana Maharshi is world-renowned among many spiritual teachers, including the Dalai Lama and Gandhi and many others. He was teaching mainly from probably the 30s, 40s, and 50s. He died in 1950. And his work was about self-realization. And I'm just started on this. It's kind of hard at first to even twist my mind around it. So again, if you find like this is like, whoa, I don't know, please don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay. Sometimes we're ready for these teachings, sometimes we're not. But what he did is he said self-inquiry as a way to dissolve or integrate the ego, to see our oneness with a true self in the present moment. The realization of not an individual self, but a non-personal, all-inclusive awareness. And the phrase that I started working with, because this is a lot, okay? But the phrase that I work with is, who is the I that's speaking? Who is the I that's speaking? And he says, take that question to its source. I'm going, take that to your source. And so what I started to do, I said, well, let's just try it for a day or two, see what's going on. And so I asked that question of myself. And it's interesting, when the question came up, who is the I that's speaking, that I often referred back to the little girl inside of me that is still a little bit wounded. Can you relate? The inner child. And so a lot of what I do and say is related to the ego, the conditioning that I have had as a person in this life. And for me to recognize my oneness with others, I have to kind of become aware of how that ego is operating in me. So I think that's what this teaching is about, and much more. Because if you take it far enough, you come to this stillness, this emptiness, which he says is the place of the true self, the oneness self, the larger self that is we are all a part of. So anyway, that's something I'm working on. I don't say I'm a master at it, okay? Not really a master at any of these things. I'm working on it just like you are. The next thing that really moved me this year was moving language from polarity thinking to non-dualist thinking, from using either or to this and. And My teacher here is Richard Rohr, who has been a Catholic priest all of his life, and now was founder of the Center for Action and Contemplation in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he's very, at this point, ecumenical. And he wrote a book called Falling Upward. And I know there's a lot of non-dualist teachers. Anybody, is there anybody out there studying non-dualism? So, there's a lot of that out there. But for me, as a beginner, I kind of really like the way he describes it. He said, dualistic thinking is a well-practiced pattern of knowing most things by comparison. And for some reason, excuse me, once you compare or label things, that is, judge, you almost always conclude that one is good and the other is less good or even bad. So that comparison, just by setting up an either or, we compare and we make one good and one not so good or bad. It's an automatic pattern of up or down, in or out, for me or against me, right or wrong, black or white, gay or straight, good or bad. It is the basic reason why the stinking thinking of racism, sexism, classism, homophobia, religious imperialism, and prejudice of all kinds is so hard to overcome. And so I just wanted to give one little example in my life of where this came up recently. So I have these dear old friends that are just the sweetest people on earth. And they have moved here in this area, and I haven't been around them much since we were in our 20s. But we got on the topic of religion. And they are, what would you say, inflamed about religion, exorcised, religion is just the opiate of the people. And so we got on the topic of the Catholic Church. And they talked on and on about samples of horrible things the Catholic Church has done. And I'm sitting there going, I can't argue with that. That's really true. But it seemed a little harsh, because hasn't the Catholic Church done some good? And then I walked away. I didn't have much to say. I was kind of like, okay, we cannot go to the religion topic very often, because I'm going to get hooked, they're going to get hooked, and then before you know it, there's the end of our relationship, perhaps. So I said, okay, you meet me on the bridge. How do I do this? Well, I think what came to me is religion has been around a really long time, since the dawning of human beings, and there has been a religion in every single civilization. Name one that doesn't have some kind of religion. And because it's run by people who make a lot of mistakes, of course there's going to be good and bad. So what I came to is, yes, the Catholic Church religion is good, and it can also be very bad. So you see the difference in the type of thinking. It's this and that, rather than religion is bad. No, religion is good. It's both. And that's, I think, true for most things in our lives. So that's my story today, and I'm keeping with it. And and may you be blessed. And Reverend Michelle, you're on. I will put these two books out on the tables if anybody wants to look at them. Okay.
Watch out for that cord there. Thank you, Jean. There's so many different facets to oneness, and I love that Teresa shared and that we're hearing from Anton and Laura. And, the thing that is resonating so much with me lately is God is in everything. That's like my mantra. God is in everything. God is in this too. And if God is in that, God is in this. God is everywhere. And, when Jean and I were meeting, and we had so much fun at the coffee shop and talked about how we wanted to break this down today, we talked about the guideposts to oneness, and what are those things in our lives that help us open to it. It's always there, right? It's always there. So what are the pieces that help us open to it? And so the one that I took was self-love, was one of them. And for me, self-love has been a journey. Whew, it's been a journey over the past 20 years in learning to love myself. And coming from a place of being really hard on myself. You know, you hear a lot of the quotes out there about I wouldn't talk to anybody the way I talk to myself sometimes. And I've gotten much better with that, but it has been a process. It has been truly a process for me to love myself. And what I have found is that everything starts within. So when I can love me, I can love you. And when I can forgive me, I can forgive you. And when I have compassion for me, I can have compassion for you. And if I don't have it, how am I going to give it away? You know, how am I going to give it away? And what I have found with the self-love is it's so much about keeping my commitments to myself. You know, it's the following my heart's journey, following my soul's journey, taking care of myself, and listening to that ever so still, ever so beautiful inner voice. And it's a process, you know, there's disciplines that I've brought into my life that have really helped me get into a place where I can bring that self-love into my life. Spiritual practices, you know, meditation and prayer and being of service and being in service is a place that brings me back to that space of love. Peace comes with the soul of men and women when they realize it is really everywhere. It is within each one of us. Black Elk. So one of the things that I invite all of us to ask ourselves is, how can we love ourselves more? How can, what is our soul calling for? What kind of self-love is our soul calling for right now? And is that something that we could do this week? Is that something that we could bring into our lives more in loving ourselves? You know, for me, it's sometimes the littlest things. It's taking an extra 20 minutes in the morning to ground myself before I get my day going, and drinking extra water throughout the day. You know, sometimes it could be the simplest things, but what can we do to love ourselves and to have compassion for ourselves? The other piece that I wanted to talk about today is surrender. So that word is packed. That's a packed word, right? We could unpack these words for weeks, you know, just from what you talked about and who is the I that is speaking, and the dualistic thinking is so beautiful. And I love how you brought that into the space, Jean. Thank you. And then we talk about self-love. These are like our guideposts to unpack, to connect us again to the oneness. And one of the things that I was thinking about when I was sitting there is listening to Anton and Laura, and how music and the lyrics of music around our soul and our spirit can bring us to oneness right away. You know, it just is such a gift. Music is the language of the soul, and you two bring that in so beautifully. It is the language. That's another thing that I have really brought into my self-love caring package, is more music that speaks to my soul. So this surrender piece, surrender to what is, let go of what was, have faith in what will be. And that's Sonia Ricotta. And then to break that down a little bit more, surrender, let go of your attachment to what you think should have happened. Surrender to what is, and trust that you're being guided toward something more profound. Now, if I could just tattoo that on my forehead, I'd be doing good. Because as I read that, I say, yes, 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 but it's so easy to forget sometimes. It is so easy to forget. And then there's a quote from Rumi that just really touches me. There are the chosen ones who have surrendered. Once they were particles of light, now they are the radiant sun. There are the chosen ones who have surrendered. Once they were particles of life, now they are the radiant sun. And for me, I don't even know that I'm not surrendering sometimes. It kind of creeps up on me a little bit. I don't know if you can all relate to that. And so I have some of these things in my life that brings me back to knowing that I'm not surrendering, and I'm having a hard time with what is right now. Sometimes I'm clutching the steering wheel when I'm driving. I'm holding my breath more is another one, that I'm holding on to something that I need to let go of. My breath is a good indicator. And on Zoom, what's interesting is I notice when I'm in a meeting and I'm holding on to something, when I hold my breath, I can see my neck tense up. And so I'll see myself on Zoom and I'll like, okay, breathe, just breathe. And breathing can always bring me back to the present moment and help me surrender, help me let go more. And so God is so good. You know, sometimes it's hard to see that. This world is a quirky place to be. There are so many synchronicities in life. Yesterday, I enjoy Nia dance, and it's a way for me to spiritually express myself and move my body at the same time and honor the earth and my body and togetherness and oneness, and it's just a beautiful spiritual practice. And Rachel Reese does Nia in Ashland, and she's phenomenal. So I go to class yesterday, and usually there's intentions that we choose for every class, and usually those intentions are pretty dialed into me. And sometimes they are like one with me. So in my meditation in the morning, I was feeling into surrender, and I was feeling into being present in the moment. And during the class, the soul card that came up was embracing the all. So embracing the all. And then the card that came up after that was around the grounding to lift. You know, grounding to lift. And we ended up weaving through the class surrender into that. Because in order for us to truly surrender, we've got to ground. You know, same with dance. In order for us to really get a little jiggy with it, a little wild, we got to ground ourselves so we don't trip over our feet or knock into somebody. So we ground to lift, same as yoga. We ground to lift. Well, the surrender is the same. Because if we surrender without grounding, everything feels really out there. But as we ground in spirit, we ground in our soul, and we ground and trust that God is in everything. God is in everything. We trust the universe is for us. And sometimes appearances don't always look that way. And yet God is still always for us. God's got us. God's got us. The universe conspires to support us. And so that brings me to another quote by Marianne Williamson. The moment of surrender is not when life is over. It's when it begins. It's when it begins, because when we can let go, we can let life happen. We can let joy in. We can let laughter in. We can let this moment, this ever-present moment in. And that's the place, that's the juiciness of life, right? That's the exuberance, that's the joy, that's the love, that's the compassion, that's the oneness, that's the surrender. Because when we can let go and be here in this now moment, we can feel our interconnectedness to each other, to the allness. And all of these guideposts and tools, like I call it my spiritual tool belt, help us remember, RE-member. We remember to the oneness, to spirit, to the wholeness. And our different spiritual practices and our different beliefs that weave into who we are as spiritual beings. What I love about this teaching is we embrace all of that about unity and CSL, and how wonderful for us to be here together doing this interface service with all of you and honoring you on your spiritual paths and your beliefs, and how we can weave in together as individual, unique expressions of the divine, and yet interconnected in our oneness. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I love thinking about it. We all have our unique soul print that we bring to this world that nobody else has. We have this specialness in this world that we were destined to bring in our own very unique, special way. And yet, we are interconnected to everything, and we are one. And that brings in the non-dualistic, and that brings in the who am I that is speaking right now? Who am I that is speaking? Because when I come from my ego, I forget my heart. And my ego is here to serve me, but it's here to serve my heart. My heart isn't here to serve my ego. Sometimes I get that a little mixed up. So I'm sure some of you could relate to me. So it's remembering the oneness. And so the quote that we had posted on social media, a person experiences life as something separated from the rest, a kind of obstacle delusion of consciousness. Our task must be to free ourselves from this self-imposed prison, and through compassion, to find the reality of oneness. Albert Einstein. Our task is to free ourselves from the self-imposed prison, and through compassion, to find the reality of oneness. And living in this world, in this human experience, sometimes it's easy to forget. It's very quirky. But there's this wholeness, this oneness, this miraculous spirit that is everywhere in each of us. And then from Alan Watts, I go off into a far, far forest and get quiet. You'll come to understand that you're connected with everything. With everything. So as I bring this to a close, I have a poem that I want to read to you for my closing prayer. And I just want to say how much I appreciate each of you, how much I appreciate this partnership with Unity, and for us to be in this sweet space together, and for us to be meeting again and sharing and weaving in that interfaith. We are the example of that non-dualistic and coming together for the betterment. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, let's see here. There it is. And if I could get a little background music, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, I've read this one before, but I feel like I could never read it enough. It's Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. But it just kind of brought it together in the togetherness and the oneness. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees and mountains and rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue sky, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of all things. Namaste. So it is.
Thank you to the two reverends for creating such a beautiful community space for us today.
So we like to bring in music from various traditions. This is from the Blackfeet. This is in Native American tradition. The animals embody perfectly certain qualities that we'd like to have in our lives. The wolf embodies the quality of community, of sharing. Laura and I recently went back to the Blackfeet reservation to kind of do a pilgrimage to Rising Wolf Mountain, Makwi, where my teacher did his vision quest. And so we're going to sing the wolf song and feel that embodiment of that community spirit, that sharing. The wolf shares the hunt with the rest of the pack before it takes a first bite. Here we go. Hey ah hey, 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 hey ah hey,
That was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you. Oh, so good. Felt the wolf energy. I taught my nieces how to howl at the moon. I'm pretty proud of that. Oh, so amazing. Okay, so now it's time for our offering. If you repeat after me, graciously I give from a place of love, knowing that as I give, so do I richly receive. I call our ushers. Thank you so much. You may write a check either to CSL RV or Medford Unity. If you prefer to give cash, there's designated envelopes in the seating, and our online viewers, there is a donate button on Facebook, or you can give to the website cslroguevalley.org. So go ahead, ushers. Thank you so much. beautiful. Thank you. All right, announcements. Our community cares team, which there is a sign up in the social hall, is holding their first meeting today after service. And so if you're interested in being involved in that, please join us. So probably about a half an hour after service, we'll start meeting. Community care team is about serving our congregation. So it's about serving those in our family. Tibetan bowl meditation, see the newsletter for details. Healing Your Shadow workshop. So we have postponed our date. We did have a few wonderful sign-ups, but we'd like to get a few more. So we are now going to hold that August 27th from 10 to 2. And so we invite you to sign up. We have a new sign-up sheet in the social hall. And we would like you to join us as we journey, create, explore, and integrate. So Rev Michelle Ariano, me, my ordination installation ceremony is coming up. So it is August 12th, and you are all invited because you are my family, and I would love for you to come. It is going to be held at the Scottish Rite Center at 5:30 p.m. Please RSVP to cslroguevalley@gmail.com. The information will be in the newsletter as well. And we are looking for volunteers to help us with setup and breakdown. And so there is a sign up in the social hall. There's already a lot of people helping out and decorating and cake and cupcakes, and it's going to be quite the celebration. So we'll have the ordination ceremony. It's kind of like a robing ceremony. There'll be music. The theme is bloom, and I'm really looking forward to it. And so I really hope that you come and join us. And then there'll be a reception afterwards, and we'll have appetizers, and we'll do a toast together. So please come out and join August 12th. Teen camp update. I'm not sure if we had a lot of teens today. I don't see Linda out here, so I think you went and checked. Okay, good. Yeah, she had told me that they might postpone that to another date, so we'll do that at another time. And our newsletter signups is in the social hall, so if you're not getting the newsletter, please do so. Prayer box is in the back in the sanctuary. Jean's going to come up and do some announcements, and then once the closing song is taking place, I'll ask the practitioners to come up and join me. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Michelle. That was a lovely talk, and there's a lot going on, as you can see. So August 28th will be the next Unity service, and we're going to have Cynthia Sloan back. So if you saw her before, she's our local trans medium and healer. She's going to be leading the service on that Sunday. And we're calling it the integration of mind, body, and spirit. And we hope to have a little bit of a healing fair afterwards. And so we're looking for practitioners, CSL practitioners who want to hold a spot on a table and introduce people to what you do, or we're looking for Reiki people or whatever to be a part of that service. We'll give you a sampling. It's kind of a sampler. And I'm hoping that maybe we can even have somebody demonstrate some green smoothies for us. So it's just about it for an hour after the service on the 28th. So if you're interested in that, please see me afterwards. Unity information is primarily on Meetup, on Facebook when we get there, and it's a lot listed thanks to CSL in their newsletter. We have an occasional newsletter. We're still working on that. Our website is not current, so don't go there for information, okay? And thank you for being here.
This is the closing song. You're welcome to sing along with us. Light your lamp and pass it on.
And if you're not stuck to your seat yet, you could even stand and we can sing together.
Let it shine for everyone, so we all may know and we all may see we are one big family. Light your lamp and pass it on. Let it shine for everyone, so we all may know and we all may see that we are one great family. Light your lamp and pass it on. Let it shine for everyone, so we all may know and we all may see that we are one great family.
Beautiful day, everybody.